Yo, what is going on, everybody? Caveman Jack, back for another album reaction / review, and we are back live from the studio. Yo, hopefully you guys are having an awesome week. Really excited to be returning to this legend of music this week. David Bowie is an artist that a lot of us are inspired by, and his music has been inspirational for many. Now, I listened to the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Was that right? Yes, it is a long song title, and I always forget the album title. Sorry, but that was a fantastic ride. It felt like I was traveling back in time and hearing his voice and how the instrumentation felt so real. Not a lot of processing and really authentic sounds. And what I found really interesting as well was you could hear a lot of the sounds that have influenced so many of the artists that I had listened to in my life. So it was really cool to see just how inspiring he as an artist has been for many. And so some of the tracks that I loved off that and still go back to with 5 years is a just 5 years, man. That's a song that I just continue to go back to. It just hits me every damn time. Just the emotion in his voice is just phenomenal. Just a fantastic album, and it was a great lesson for me. I learned a lot, just how easy he could tell a story, and really you felt really locked into the sounds as well as the messages behind some of his songs. But 5 years will continue to be a track that means a lot to me. It was emotive. It had so much feeling and passion in it, and hearing that song for the first time is a moment I'll never forget. So I'd really mean to go back to David Bowie a lot earlier than I have, but you know how things get and times change and all these things and, you know, different albums and yada, yada, yada. I'm actually returning to David Bowie finally on this week's video, and we're going to be checking out the album Hunky, the 2015 remaster. It was originally released in 1971. That's it. So it's a classic album here. A lot of people in the comments recommended so many different albums by David Bowie. This one popped up a lot. And this is not going to be the last time I check out David Bowie. I do plan to continue diving into his discography over time. But let's get into it. This is Hunky Dory. I'm just excited to just hear that classic voice and some of those authentic, rich sounds like we heard on the last project that I checked out. All right. No way, this is David Bowie. I had no idea this was David Bowie. Shrek 2, right? Shrek 2?
Still don't know what I was waiting for.
Oh.
And my time was running wild, a million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me.
Oh, it's nice strings backing the simple piano.
How the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes, turn and face the strain. Changes, don't wanna be a richer man. Changes, turn and face the strain. Changes, it's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time.
Yeah, it's a great chorus, isn't it? Oh, look, some horns again.
And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. Changes, turn and face the strange. Changes,
I love the harmonies and the layers he's got on this chorus.
Changes, turn and face the strange. Changes, where's the shame you've left us up to our next event? Time may change me, but you can't trace time. Strange man.
got that really classic voice, you know, like it's so identifiable.
Our changes are taking the pace I'm going through. Changes. Turn and face the strange changes. Ooh, look out, you rock and rollers. I may change me, but I can't trace time.
Hunky Dory, man. Hunky Dory. I did not know that song was by David Bowie. It's always a surprise when these tracks that you know and you've listened to a fair bit over your life from like media. I think for me that track just reminds me of Shrek 2. I'm pretty sure it's the scene where he's turned into a human and Donkey's a horse and they're going back through the town of far, far away, and you know they're looking in the the reflections and all the people. It's a great film. I think Shrek 2 is better than Shrek 1. I know, it might be controversial, but I'm just going to say it. Anyway, moving on from Shrek. Changes is a beautiful track because it carries on from what feels like a similar idea or mentality from the opening track of The Rise of Ziggy Stardust. And that was 5 years, and it addressed this idea of time running out and kind of not mortality, but just things quickly changing in life and kind of the anxieties that may become apparent when you start overthinking how much time you spent on one thing or how much time you've got left in another thing, all these different elements. And changes kind of is another way of looking at it in some regard. Changes can be scary, they can be really strange, and I like some of the lines and they're kind of really inspiring, some of the lines. Turn and face the strange. Just like it's scary, I get that, but turn and face it and just challenge the change and dive into the change. You can look at it from multiple ways, but I think the way I look at it is you'll turn and face the strange, and it's time to be a different person, and you got to look at that in a positive light. It's time to grow as a person.
Wake up your sleepy head, put on some clothes, shake up your bed, put another log on the fire for me. I made some breakfast and coffee. What are we coming to? No room for me, no fun for you. I'll think about a world to come where the books were found by the golden ones, written in pain, written it all by a puzzle man who questioned what we were here for. All the strangers came today, and it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, you pretty things, don't you know you're driving your drivers and drivers insane? Oh, you pretty things, don't you know you're driving your drivers and drivers insane? Let me make it plain, gotta make way for the whole superior. Look out at your children, see their
Okay,
faces
the
in
verse is really
golden
simple,
rays.
just piano
Don't
and
kid
David.
yourself, they belong to you. They're the start of the coming
Really helps,
race.
like,
The author's a bitch.
allow the
We
chorus
finished
to just
our
feel
news.
so
Homo sapiens
energetic and
have
fun.
outgrown their use. All the strangers came today, and it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, you pretty things, don't you know you're driving your drivers and
I like how the snare really just kind of like has like a bit of an echo effect.
Oh, you pretty things, don't you know you're driving your drivers and drivers insane?
Oh, You Pretty Things was a fun track. It was interesting because the verse was really stripped back, and I was like, it's just David and the piano. I wondered if it was going to expand and kind of go from there. And then, yeah, you start hearing the rise at the end of the verse, and then bang, you go into this really fun, energetic chorus that A bit of lively kind of playfulness from the vocal in the chorus. And then just the instrumentation was just light and fluffy and fun and kind of matched the tone of all you pretty things running amok and driving, your mum and dad crazy and all these things. It's just a fun one. Okay. Piano again. Yeah, it's a good guitar, isn't it? It's so great how untouched these sounds feel. They feel just very live. No unnecessary effects. It's really natural. It's a nice intro, really just sitting with the guitar. Oh, and that piano. Can't forget the piano.
Tactful cactus by your window surveys the prairie of your room. Mobile spins to its collision. Clara puts her head between the oars. Open shops down on the west side. Lonely cat, I'll find a home.
So warm. I love when guitars just feel like they have just a voice, and it feels like they're singing. Just with the warmth and the tone of it, just feels like it's having its own verse, Eight-line poem, just simple like instrumentation, but it's effective. The way it's utilized allows David's kind of playfulness and charisma in his voice just to kind of go to town. And I just think it's so great when and David Bowie really stands out. One of the things that I really enjoy about Bowie's voice is just how much he can say within kind of the context of a song. And I mean that in the manner of his voice has so many kind of quirks to it that it just feels like it says so much without kind of needing to say a whole lot of lines, if that makes sense. It's just got a level of depth and kind of quirkiness that it's kind of constantly moving and really can allow certain emotions and really extend the lines and adds another level of depth to them. Oh yeah, we know Life on Mars. This is a beautiful track.
To the girl with the mousy hair.
Really piano-driven song. I can't remember if Ziggy Stardust had a heap of piano.
But her friend is nowhere to be seen. Now she walks through her sunken dream.
Oh, how good it's flowing. To the seat
with the clearest view. And she's hooked to the silver screen.
Oh.
But the film is a sad thing for she's lived it 10 times or more. She could spit in the eyes of fools if they ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the long man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if
really like the sounds like almost like fall from the roof.
Who's in the best-selling show? Is there life on Mars? It's on America's torch Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow. Now the workers have struck for fame.
Oh man.
'Cause Lennon's on sale again. See the mice in their million hordes. From Ibiza
Almost
to
sounds
the
like a flute.
Norfolk Broads.
Nah, I think it's a synth. I don't know actually. I can't even tell. Captures you every time, like the crash.
This is the best-selling show. This is life on Mars.
Ensemble. Truly a classic song, guys. Truly a classic for a reason. So many sounds, even that drone, the droning. Oh, it's fantastic. The composition on that track. Truly just so many different sounds. Like we could sit there and talk about the drums and the piano and the synth and the string bass sections and just how much life there is in David's voice. It's the ensemble there is just, it's a classic, and it really is a classic, and it's a timeless piece because it just still feels so relevant, feels so futuristic. It just, and those timeless pieces, they just feel like get goosebumps every time. And yeah, Life on Mars is a fantastic song. Okay, nice little effect on the guitar there. Oh.
Will you stay in a lover's story? If you stay, you won't be sorry, 'cause we believe in you. Soon you'll grow, so take a chance with a couple of kooks hung up on romancing.
Oh, nice. The horns
We
there.
bought a lot of things to keep you warm and dry, and a funny old crib on which the paint won't dry. I bought you a pair of shoes, a trumpet you can blow, and a book of rules of what to say to people when they pick on you. 'Cause if you stay with us, you're gonna be pretty cookie too. And if you ever have to go to school, remember how they messed up this old fool. Don't pick fights with the bullies or the cats, 'cause I'm not much cop at punching other people's dads. Will you stay in my lover's story?
I like how he's kind of going up a bit of a register here. I don't know if it's just because it's like the layers. It sounds a little bit higher up. Up on the piano as well, a little bit more lively. Kooks is just an example of a song that doesn't really blow me away, but it's just enjoyable and just celebrates the fact that simple instrumentation but used effectively really can help create a really warm and enjoyable track. And that song is probably not one I'm going to keep going back to, but I can sit back and when listening to it, enjoy the fact that it's got a bit of liveliness to it. It's got those warm sounds and it's effective. Like even when we heard the bass guitar come in at the start, it was like, okay. Effectiveness in which some of these classic artists were able to record their music has allowed the quality to be maintained. Obviously this is remastered, but to remaster something, you need a really solid base to work with, and these classic artists have allowed that for future producers and future masterers to work with and keep revitalizing their sounds. They're not really reinventing them, they're just revitalizing them and making them sound a bit more crisper with new technologies that comes available. Oh, like that. Quicksand, that's a nice sound.
I'm closer to the golden dawn, immersed in Crowley's uniform of imagery. where others see their target. Divine
Just
symmetry.
the strings, the acoustic guitar, and the piano are just really warm.
Did I guess the viper's fang, or herald loud the death of man? I'm sinking in the quicksand of my thought.
That's a beautiful line. I'm sinking in the
And
quicksand
I
of my thought.
ain't got the power anymore.
Dang.
Don't believe in yourself. Don't deceive with belief. Knowledge comes with death's release.
Love the strings on this album, man. Just
Tethered to the logic of home.
really combining with the piano so nicely. A bunch of tracks.
Salvation of bullshit faith. If I don't explain what you ought to know,
I like how sharp it comes in, you know?
next bottle, I'm sinking in the quicksand of my thought.
And I love how that line is just really, the instrumentation around it's really kind of stripped back to really kind of highlight the importance of that line. Just really nice. The lines about, you know, I'm falling into the quicksand of my thought is just a, you know, and a thing that can happen to all of us at times, like paranoia and anxiety can bring this level of almost like, feels like we're drowning in our own kind of insecurities or our own fears. Yeah, I just thought the instrumentation really captured a lot on that track. And you know, we're going to talk about the instrumentation a lot. I think it's just something I always look out for and something my ears love to hear is great instrumentation, but hearing sounds utilized and layered upon each other in ways that I have never heard before or can recall hearing at least is always really exciting. And I almost find it almost like a lesson at times because it's teaching us different effective use of sounds, like the way the strings and the interesting effect that was on the guitar, the acoustic guitar, almost sounded a little bit muffled at times. And the way that the piano had so much life to it, almost felt like it was kind of like running up and down the keys at points throughout the track. And just a simple instrumental piece of kind of focus that I had was when the line that really was connecting me with the song was the, you know, drowning in the quicksand of my thought. I liked how the instrumentation really backed up for that line and really allowed the listener to connect to that part of the song. And those are little things that artists can do to really highlight what they feel may be a really connecting piece or a real relatable part of their song. And I just thought it was really solid how David did that. All right, Fill Your Heart.
Fill your heart with love today. Don't play the game of time. Things that happened in the past only happened in your mind, only in your mind. Free.
Man, the piano's been so lively on this album at multiple points.
If you choose. Just
Yeah, man,
remember,
just like-
lovers never lose, 'cause they are free of thoughts unpure and of thoughts unkind. Gentleness clears the soul, love cleans the mind and makes it free.
Got a saxophone?
Oh, happiness is happening.
No pun intended, but I love how his voice feels so free on this track. It just kind of is really just It's high pitched. It's that lower register at times. It's just got a nice blend of the two. Felt kind of a little bit stripped back, and then you could start hearing the sounds matching that. And then as he started kind of to build in his prowess and vocal presence, as he started building up in the lines, the instrumentation went with him. And it was just like really cool how that kind of worked. It was like a little simple thing. And I think a lot of people would hear that, but I thought I'd make note of that just because it was a fun part of that track. Oh my gosh, okay. Completely different sound to what we've heard so far on this album. Might be the first time I've heard a sound like this.
It's Warhol, actually.
On a David Bowie album. From this one and the one I have heard. Okay.
You ready?
Sounds a bit more Spanish-esque guitar
Like
work
to take
here.
a cement fix, bigger standing cinema. Dress my friends up just for show, see them as they really are. Andy Warhol looks a scream, hanging on my wall. Andy Warhol, silver screen, can't tell them apart at all.
Sounds like the kind of snare is like being hit with like those drumsticks that kind of have almost like brush-like ends. It makes the sound like just a little bit more kind of, a little bit softer, but a little bit more kind of. That track felt very experimental from the sounds that I've heard from David so far. And I'm sure he's got a lot more experimental work that we'll get into over time. But there, the start of it was really interesting. It was like almost like maybe they're resetting or getting ready to start recording Andy Warhol. But I'm not sure. It was just a little bit trippy. It was like some kind of real dark electronic sounds. And then obviously that Spanish-esque sounding guitar came in and he was just kind of flowing over it. The song didn't blow me away from a kind of melody point of view, but it was interesting how the guitars, there was a bunch of layering on the guitars to add a little bit more weight and volume to some of the sounds. And then, even the outro there just felt a bit chaotic, a little bit more on the experimental side, which was interesting. Songs for Bob Dylan. Really does sound like a 70s, 80s sounding guitar right now.
I hear this Robert Zimmerman, I wrote a song for you about a strange young man called Dylan with a voice like sand and glue. Ah, here she comes, here she comes, here she comes again.
Piano again. Lively. Listen to it.
Gave your heart to every bedsit room at least.
He really flows really nicely from the heavier mix and then brings it back to a little bit more emotive, grounded for the verses at times. And I really can appreciate that. Really seamless transitions.
While troubles are rising, we'd rather be scared. Together than alone. Oh, here she comes, here she comes, here she comes again. Same old crazy lady from the brow of the super.
Talking over that piano, and he's just going nuts.
This world says as she comes on like a freight hand.
So now we're getting a lot more guitar towards the back end of this album.
Oh yeah. 7th floor and I'm watching the cruisers below. Cause she's hoping to stall, so I can't see her letting him go. Walk out of her heart, walk out of her mind. Oh, not her. She's so swishy in her satin and tan, in her frock coat and bibbidi-bobbidi hat. If she says she can't do it, then she can't do it. She don't make false claims. But she's a queen, and such a queen that your laughter is sucked in her brains. Now she's leading him on, and she'll lay him right down. Yes, she's leading him on, and she'll lay him right down. But it could have been me, yes, it could have been me. Why didn't I say, why didn't I say? Now, she's so swishy in her satin and tan, in her frock coat and bibbidi-bobbidi hat.
Man, there's a lot going on in that track. I can't lie. I think it kind of lost me, and I think that's probably not detriment of the song. I think it was just me. I think I just lost myself, and I was struggling to regain kind of where I was in that song, just because the guitars were so like thrashy and they moved very quickly. And I think I did enjoy his kind of eccentric kind of vocal take on that one. Like, I think for me, I fell into it early, but lost my footing, and then I really struggled to find myself back into that track. Alrighty, final track on the album. Let's go. Like a chair moving. That's nice and warm.
So the story goes, they wore the clothes, they said the things to make it seem improbable. Sang the swirl through the streets like the crust of the sun of Bewlay Brothers.
Oh, no.
In our wings that bark, flashing teeth of brass, standing tall in the dark. Oh, and we were gone, hanging out with your 12 men. We were so turned on by your lack of conclusion.
Interesting how the guitar has like high volume at times and it really drops in sound. Really jarring shifts.
I was stoned, he was wax, so he could scream and still relax. Unbelievable. And we frightened the small children away. The stalking time for the Moon Boys, the Bewlay Brothers.
Oh, just comes in
With
so
our backs
raw.
on the arch.
See how it just rises out the acoustic. It really just becomes so heavy in the mix.
Oh, and we were gone. Real cool traders.
Great
We were
patience
so
and
turned on. You thought we were fakers.
you can hear the two guitars laid over each other, just really playing off each other nicely.
Bewlay Brothers.
Oh, we can get one more rise of a chorus.
In the feeble in the bad.
I reckon we will.
Bewlay Brothers.
There it is.
In the blessed and cold. In the crutch hungry dark.
I think it's electric in the far distance. It's just like kind of whining. It's
Kings of oblivion.
a lot of guitars, man, laid on
We
each
were so
other.
turned on in the Ninth War Pavilion.
Lay me place and bake me pie, I'm starving for me gravy.
Is it just like
Leave my shoes
couple
and
layers there.
door unlocked, I might just slip
pitched at different registers?
just for the day. Hey, please come away,
That's great.
just for the day.
Super quirky finish to this album, and I love it. I love it. Really starting to see some of the experimental sides of David, and I think that's exciting. As someone who does enjoy the trippy sounds that we can find in music, I am thrilled to dive into that part of his discography. Man, just another great history lesson, a music lesson, really. Going back to Hunky Dory, 1971, album that I know a lot of people love and go back to and really appreciate its presence and place in music history and within his discography. It was really interesting how the first half of the album felt very piano driven. We had a lot more songs that really felt like the piano was driving it. And then we kind of had like a middle point where it felt like it was like almost like a blend or a hybrid of the guitar-based sounds and the piano. And then it slowly transitioned to the outro of the album, with the last couple of tracks really being driven by the guitar. So it was interesting how that shift took place. It was fun seeing the experimental side and how free-flowing he was on a bunch of those tracks. And I think for me, like the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust, I can hear so many influences of some of the artists that I listen to today. A really strong one that I still think is really I can hear it often is Arctic Monkeys. The way David kind of flows on some of the tracks, his delivery, even some of the instrumentation really kind of gives me that Arctic Monkeys sound that I have heard on. I've only listened to three of their albums, so I still got a lot to go through their discography, but it doesn't take away the fact that I do think that there's some key influences. I liked how the guitar had multiple kind of voices, and there was points where it felt a little bit more somber, and then there were points where it felt a little bit more thrashy, and you don't really know what you're going to get next on each David Bowie track, and I think that's a lot of fun, and it kind of reminds me of that vibe that we get with certain artists that I love, so Gorillaz and Radiohead are two of the biggest ones for me that I really don't know where each track will take me, and that's one of my favorite parts of music, and reacting to those sounds is so much fun because you really don't know where you're going to be transported to next. So it was fantastic to sit down and return to the world of David Bowie. Keep the comments going, guys. I love having discussions about icons like this, and keep talking about why David Bowie means something to you, why his music hits you. Keep talking about your favorite albums by him, and keep recommending the next David Bowie record I need to check out, because like I said, this will not be the last time I check David Bowie out. I definitely want to listen to more. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, I have listened to the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, feel free to hit the subscribe button and join the community. We listen to a wide range of music from different eras, different genres. So each week you're kind of getting something a little bit different. I'm a huge hip hop fan myself, so we do get around to hip hop every now and then, but we do check out a lot of different genres, and that's been really, really fun. Anyway, guys, that was Hunky Dory by David Bowie. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Have a fantastic rest of your week. My name is Caveman Jack, and I will see y'all in the next video. Cheers.
Is there life on Mars?